Okay guys, so this actually may be the only thing I am qualified to talk about. Okay guys, welcome back to T-Bone's Southern Ride. I'm T-Bone. If you're new here, welcome in. I make motorcycle content and other stuff. If you're old here, welcome back, as we're going down the road at half the speed we need. So this may be the only thing I am qualified right now to talk about. If you saw the header, you know why you're here. I'm going to give beautiful Michelle. Woo! Man, that's a good looking car. Anyway, sorry, got sidetracked by a car. I'm going to give a review on the Fatboy. Now, this is not a new Fatboy, newer Fatboy. This is actually the 2003 anniversary edition Fatboy. However, what I have learned about most Softails in my time riding Softails is that they pretty well much all ride the same. They're comfortable. So I'm going to start with the beginning with this, and the beginning with this bike is aesthetics. For me, this bike is a beautiful bike. I love the way it looks, love the way it sits. Tons of chrome on it. Of course, it's got the silver over black anniversary paint job on it, which I love. I think the two-tone paint job is a beautiful paint job, and it's a Harley-Davidson paint job. Aesthetically, I love the looks of the bike. Riding the bike, guys, about the only way I can equate this bike to what it would be like riding it is just like sitting at home on your recliner with your feet kicked out. Comfortable motorcycle. And for you guys, now you're going to get into a debate over this subject, and I'm not here to debate this subject. I'm just here to give my personal opinion about this subject. And I think the Softail ride's really, really comfortable. Now, is it the most comfortable Harley? The Dynas ride comfortable, but of course they have the coilover external shocks. Of course, the Softails are mono-shocked with the big shock in the center hidden. Aesthetically, it looks better because they don't have the two big shocks sticking out on the rear. But now this is my own opinion. Between the Tour Glide, the Sportster, a Wide Glide, and this bike right here, what I can tell you just from my personal experience is that this might actually be, the Softail might actually be one of the most comfortable Harleys I've ever ridden. It absorbs the road shock really good. The seating, the way you sit on this bike, it's kind of low slung in the seat. It has a low center of gravity, where bikes like my Tour Glide and the Road Glides, Road Kings have a pretty low center of gravity, but this bike, these Softails have a low center of gravity. And of course, when you get into the Softails, you get into, of course, I have ridden, of course, this Fatboy here, and I haven't ridden a ton of Fatboys, guys, so just by that, riding this bike, it's comfortable. I love it. I would assume when you're down here with your bars, you change the bars or you change the seat, you can change the ride of this motorcycle completely. You can change the ride of it. Probably you could go better, you could go worse, but this bike just rides and sits comfortable. When R1's on the back, she's not cramped, she has leg room. There is distance in between her body and mine, so she don't feel like I'm laying back on her and crushing her. But of course, like the Tour Glide, it sits up higher. It has more of a straight center of gravity. so it's really straight across the board. But I love the soft tail feel. I love that it has the lower center of gravity where you're kind of sitting a little more comfortable in the cockpit here. And of course, the instrument cluster, again, that's one of those things that you can get into an argument with somebody about. The dyno people love their gauges up here on the bars. Of course, your tachometer, your speedometer. Some of the dynos don't have them up there. Some of them are in the tank. I love where the dashboard is on this bike. I have to look down to see the speedo, but I pretty well much ride by feel. I can tell usually just by how I'm moving down the road how fast I'm going, and I guess that's just from riding so much. But overall, aesthetically and comfortably, this bike has got a lot of comfort to her. It may, as I've said, this Softail, the Fatboy, may be one of the most comfortable bikes I've ever ridden. Now, I do have to say, the mystery bike that I have, of course, the Suzuki that I shot the video on, another bike that's low center of gravity and comfortable. When you have back trouble, and I do have lower back issues, when you can lower yourself in the seat and you can set up more straight, your bars are right there, you're not having to lean forward, or like on some choppers you get slung too far backwards. You know, if you're riding in an awkward position, it can hurt you worse. And what I love about this bike is I'm pretty well much sitting straight up, which makes the ride a whole lot more comfortable. So we've covered aesthetics and comfort. Now let's talk about the power plant that's inside this Fatboy. Now this is a twin cam. I asked the milkman a question the other day. What would you equate the twin cam to? More toward a dyno, or he said no, a twin cam's just a twin cam. You know, it's essentially the old Evo motors, the Evolution motors were all single cam. These are all twin cam. So they're basically, twin cams are their own beast. Now this is a 1450, 1450cc. Guys, is it a drag racing bike? No. But does it have enough power to get out of its own way? Absolutely. This thing actually shockingly can come off the line pretty hard. It can come off the line pretty quick, a little quicker than I give it credit for. So there's plenty enough power there for it to get out of its own way. But this bike's comfortable. It has the 5-speed transmission. This bike is comfortable at 70, 75. It's comfortable there. It's not straining hard. So if you're having to jump on the interstate and ride, you're good. But I don't do a whole lot of interstate riding. Most of the time I'm on the back roads as often as I can be. And speaking of back roads, we're on 60 going towards Suches. But yeah, this bike right here, guys, I've ridden this bike several trips. I've taken a lot of long trips on this bike. I've taken short trips on this bike. Overall, on just the comfort, it may be, but engine-wise, on the long trips, the motor performed as it should. No hiccups, no bobbles, of course it is carbureted. And of course, when you get into carbureted engines, when the weather gets hotter, you're going to have a little bit more stall and cranking. It takes a little longer to hit. Your carburetor gets a little warm. But I mean, that's just with any carbureted bike. The bike actually performs really good for being a 1450. Of course, now it's not a 131 pumping out 150 horsepower. But like I said, it's got enough power to get on out of its way. And smooth transition. This bike has a smooth clutch in it. The clutch and the transmission in this bike are smooth shifting. You don't never have to kick it hard to get it to go into gear. Very smooth sailing with this bike. But what I really like most about the power plant in this bike, being the 1450, is with the newer technology that came in at the turn of the millennium when we hit the 2000s, the Softail was kind of in a transition. The Softail was kind of in flux. And 1999, Harley Davidson, of course, introduced the Night Train, which was a Softail. Essentially, it was essentially just a Softail standard, but it had a blacked out engine, blacked out all over it. And I love the new 99 Night Train. Of course, now, after they got past that first year of production, the emblem on the tank changed, the way it looked changed, the way it sit changed. But I'll always be a fan of the original 99 Night Train. But Softails, sometimes they get a bad rep. There's guys, they either love them or they hate them. Alright guys, sorry about that. Had to pull over, had a call come in. I missed a call from a telemarketer. So yeah, I mean, the Softail kind of got a bad rap. People either love them or they hate them. And I know back in the old days, in the 90s, all the shovelhead people and Dyna people, such as the Wide Glide and the Super Glide, in which the Super Glide was the standard. Because the Super Glide has been around for a long, long time. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that guys, but the Super Glide has been around for a long time. And you know, the hardtail, a lot of the old chopper guys used to make fun of the Softail riders, and to an extent they even made fun of the Super Glide riders, until the shovelhead swapped over and the Evo came along. And when the Evo came along, everything kind of changed a little bit. But the Softail, I never was really a big fan back in the old days when I was younger. I never was really a big fan of the Softail, which I just never understood the difference, I guess, in how they rode. It was more about aesthetics and what the power plant was, and essentially if it was just a bike that I liked the looks of. And of course, out of the 80s, you know, the shovelheads. I love the shovelheads, the early shovelheads. I love the early Evos. You know, the Heritage came along, and I really like the looks of the Heritage, but I never really give it much of a second look or a second chance to make a first impression, if you will. But I mean, the Softail line, guys, has been around for a while. I mean, you got the Fatboy, of course, the Softail Standard, which a little movie trivia, television trivia, and the show Renegade from the 90s. You've seen a video. I did a video on that show, Renegade, from the 1990s. If you get a chance, scroll down, find that video and watch it. Lorenzo Lamas's character, Reno Reigns, actually rode a 1989 Softail Standard in that television series. And guys, I love that motorcycle. Black with old school hot rod flames. Mini Apes, kind of the same setup that I have on the Fatboy. 4-inch risers, Mini Apes. But man, that was just a good looking bike. I love that motorcycle. If you don't want to watch the television series, just go Google the motorcycle from the show television series Renegade and just look at that Softail. Beautiful motorcycle, beautiful, beautiful bike. But you know, the Softail Standard, the Fatboy, then they came out with a couple of Springers. You had the Springer Standard, Softail Springer, and then you had the Heritage Softail Springer, which essentially was a bigger front end, fog lights, bags. It was essentially the road king of the Softail world with the Heritage Softail Springer. But the Springers are beautiful bikes too. And I think the last Springer, or the Springer that really made a splash for me, was of course the Softail Springer, but I really like the Springer setup that they put on the Harley Davidson Crossbones. Of course, the Crossbones, you can go back and Google it and find it. It was a short-term production bike, but man, it was a good-looking bike. I've seen them close up, saw one close up just real recent like. Beautiful bikes. Essentially, it was built to be a bobber. Harley Davidson produced it to be a bobber. They call it the Crossbones. Beautiful bike. But getting back to the Fatboy here, guys, you know, I don't want to call this bike an old man bike, but what I'm saying is if you've got a little age on you and you've got a little time in the saddle on your back, got lower back problems like I do, these bikes are comfortable, got a good enough power plant to get out of its own way with the 1450 twin cam. And what that leaves for me then is my overall rating. Now, aesthetically, I give it a 10. Power plant, I'm going to give the power plant a 9, because like I said, sometimes it is carbureted, so sometimes it's a little bit temperamental. So I'm going to give the power plant a 9. I'd like to give it a 10 just overall. And I won't normally give a motorcycle a 10 unless I've spent some time on it. Now, like I said, I've spent a lot of miles on this bike, taking it long trips, short trips, so I feel like I'm qualified. And even though I love this bike, I still can't give this bike a 10. And one of the problems is like on these curvy roads, it doesn't sit up high enough. And sometimes if you get into a curve too hot and you lean too much, you'll drag the floorboards. And I can deal with that. Because I don't ride fast anyway, so I have no trouble slowing down that extra little bit to save the floorboards from scraping. So if, you know, giving that a 9 is fine with me. Overall, it's a 9. I'm going to deduct the 1 point for the lean, because I know there's a lot of people who like to ride a little bit harder and hotter than I do, but for the cruise overall, I give it a 9. I mean, again, I can't judge all Fatboys by this Fatboy. I could just tell you about this one, but I'm assuming essentially, unless there's just drastic bar change or seat change or something like that, they're all pretty well much going to be the same kind of comfortable ride. And you know, that's kind of what I'm looking for at this age that I'm at now, is a little bit more of a comfortable ride. You know, when I was young and dumb, I didn't care. You know, chopper, dual shock, it didn't matter to me. I'd just ride. But I've ridden hardtail choppers and I've ridden them a long ways, and I'm going to be honest with you, I like having that support under my butt and my back. You know, you get to that age where it just really is nice to have some support. So, you know, that's my long-term review, guys. My suggestion would be, if you haven't tried a Fatboy, not just a Fatboy, but if you're, you know, if you're riding a dual shock bike, and you know, and with dual shock bikes, they tend to set up a little bit higher, and sometimes they can work you a little bit harder on a longer ride. I suggest trying a Softail. Don't have to be a Fatboy. Any Softail will do. Any year will do. Which the new Fatboy, the brand new 2021 Fatboy with the 114, it has remnants of a Fatboy look to it, but to me, essentially, it's a totally different motorcycle than the classic Fatboy that I'm riding now. And I haven't never ridden one of the new Fatboys. I haven't even seen one close up yet. But I might I might do a video. I had mentioned before doing a video on the Fatboy. I might do like a first impressions video. I couldn't really do no long-term review without riding one for a little while. But, you know, what I suggest to you try Softail, ride one, and if you're comfortable by it, absolutely. But overall, 9 out of 10. That's about the best I can give you on a review. Like I said, other than just the leaning problem in the curve, that's really the only problem. But anyway, guys, what a beautiful day. I just wanted to jump on here and kind of ride this out and give you guys a review of the Fatboy here. I may try to do some kind of long-term review on the Tour Glide as well. Again, that's a different can of worms. That's a classic bike. You've got to be classic-minded for that bike. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm actually riding out Suches here, out to Suches. I'm actually going to 2 wheels only. So tell you what, guys, I think that's pretty well much going to bring this video, the review of the Fatboy, I think that's pretty well much going to bring this video to an end. I'll tell you what, jump on here and comment. Let me know, what was your favorite Softail of all time? I don't have just an absolute favorite as far as just being a favorite, but I really loved the Softail standard from the television series Renegade. If I was going to duplicate a Softail standard, or if I was going to have a Softail standard, I would try to duplicate it to that bike as much as I could. But drop down and let me know, guys, what's your favorite Softail? Is it the Fatboy? Is it the Springer? Or is it the Softail standard? But tell you what, guys, like, share, comment. If you're over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Help me get my algorithm up. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to go ahead right now. I'm going to back out of here and enjoy the rest of this ride. And until the next time, I'm T-Bone, and this has been the Southern Ride. Hey guys, welcome to the bonus clip. If you've just watched the Fatboy review video, then you've made it here to the bonus clip. And I wanted to do a bonus clip on this. I didn't want to actually put it in the video. I just wanted to set it as a bonus clip for the end of the video, because it's going to be story time with T-Bone. And I thought about this story a while back, and I wanted to share it with you guys here today. The story being that me and Joe LaFrance, several years ago, were on this road, 60, going from Morganton to Suches. And Joe was riding a Yamaha XS11, and I was on my Sportster, I believe, at the time. I had a Sportster. And we were cruising out through here. Now, we wasn't running fast, probably 40, 45 mile per hour. And guys, what I can only explain to you as the absolute mangiest deer I've ever seen in my entire life jumped in between Joe's motorcycle and my motorcycle, and it was right here, I believe, before we hit this curve. It came out of that field right there. And guys, that deer came flying out into the road, and when I tell you it missed the back of Joe's Yamaha by millimeters, it was literally millimeters. It came so close to his back tire, I actually thought it had hit him, but it didn't. And this little mangy, sprawled out in the middle of the road deer, I grabbed my bars and I braced my feet on the pegs, because I was so close to this deer, I actually thought I was either going to hit it and bust it wide open, or I was going to go over the top of it. Thankfully, God was with us that day, because the deer managed to get back to its feet and get out of the way before I hit it. And looking back on it now, guys, I can laugh at just how close of a call it was. But poor Joe, We stopped at Two Wheels Only, and poor Joe said, dude, I thought we were dead. He said, I thought we literally had just bought the farm. And poor Joe was shook up. I was shook up. You couldn't have drove a needle in either one of our buttholes with a sledgehammer, because we got to Two Wheels Only, parked the bikes, and just sit. And when I tell you we spent some time at Two Wheels Only, we sat at Two Wheels Only for a while. Then of course we went on across Warpin Gap, and the rest of the day was fine. But Joe was also with me during the hawk story when I got hit in the face with the hawk on Fort Mountain. So me and Joe were together at a couple of close calls. But that little mangy deer that jumped in between me and Joe that day, it proved that just how quick something can happen, because we never saw the deer in the field. And until it landed between us, I had no idea what was going on. It was a deer, guys, but it was a smaller deer. And when I say mangy, at first, I actually thought it was a coyote. I thought, man, I'm going to run over a coyote, or Joe's going to get hit by a coyote. But anyway, guys, if you made it through the Fatboy review video and you got to the bonus video here, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the support, and I thought y'all would enjoy that little deer story there about the mangy deer nearly killing me and Joe LaFrance. But I'll tell you what, guys, until the next time, I'm T-Bone, and this has been The Southern Ride.